What only exists because people are stupid. Story 1. Betty Crocker once made a cake mix that was add water only. No need for other ingredients. And it came out the most perfect moist cake. People stopped buying it because adding water didn't make them feel like they were baking a cake. Betty Crocker took away ingredients and needed people to add milk and eggs to the mix so people will buy their cake mix again. Turns out that a large part of baking is that feeling like you actually made something. However, as Laura Shapiro observed in Something from the Oven, Reinventing Dinner in 1950s America, while Dichter's work was influential, its precise role in the success of the cake mix is unclear. For starters, although it may not have been a point articulated by the homemakers Dichter surveyed, the fact was that fresh eggs produced superior cakes. Using complete mixes, which included dried eggs, resulted in cakes that stuck to the pan, had poor texture, had a shorter shelf life, and often tasted too strongly of eggs. Chances are, Shapiro wrote, if adding eggs persuaded some women to overcome their aversion to cake mixes, it was at least partly because fresh eggs made for better cakes. Furthermore, the two food companies who came to dominate the cake mix market in this era, General Mills and Pillsbury, adopted opposite approaches. The former chose to go with fresh egg mixes, while Pillsbury opted to offer complete mixes. If the form of eggs used were truly the tipping point that saved the cake mix industry, then sales of one of these companies' products should have tanked in comparison to the others. Story 2. When my aunt died, I ended up with my mom and uncle talking to the funeral home advisor. When they were discussing cremation, the funeral advisor made my uncle sign a form that he understands cremation is irreversible. The forbidden jigsaw puzzle. Yup, I had to do that at my dad's. Can't recall with my mom, but she had a viewing before being cremated. But when it comes to funeral stuff, I'm a lot more lenient. Many people go into a funeral home are within a day or so of their relative dying and might not be in the right state of mind. The contract is both protection and a firm reminder to the grieving person because grieving people might flip-flop in their decisions. I see it as a wake the frick up, it's permanent warning. I had the great misfortune of taking my hysterical aunt to the funeral home the morning after she found my uncle, who was 50, unalive. She was a 44-year-old widow. Insisted the whole way there he would be cremated, but when we got in and she started talking to the director, she became hysterical all over again and told him she wanted family to be able to see my uncle and she didn't want him to burn. So there was a viewing. Maybe it's in poor taste to mention this, but since we were on the topic of cremation anyway, I couldn't help but think of one of my favorite poems, The Cremation of Sam McGee by Robert Service. It's an eerie tale of a prospector succumbing to the harsh cold of the Alaskan wilderness. If you're interested in my rendition of the poem, there's a video of me reading it on my channel, Brother Goose, which I think sets a good vibe for campfire stories. Might be a good time to listen to it this time of year. Story 3. Many reactions to the Super Size Me film. In the years since the movie was released, fast food restaurants have tried to appear healthier. Many people acted as though it provided a huge revelation. We watched it in my high school health class, and I didn't understand the point. Fast food is unhealthy. Eating nothing but McDonald's is bad for you. Did people not know this? Or was it just another one of those instances where people pretended to care because that was the cool, trending topic for a bit? The knee-jerk reactions from people who act like having a fast food burger once in a while is going to automatically kill you. That's way different from eating multiple fast food meals per day like what's-his-name in the movie did. Amen. I liked the movie because it was kind of interesting to see the effects, but who the heck didn't know that eating McDonald's for every meal, or any other fast food for that matter, was not a good idea? Reminds me of a science project I had to do in grade school. My idea was to show the effects of acid rain. One plant was watered normally, the other was watered with a 3-to-1 mixture of some sort of acid and water. Oddly enough, the straight acid-fed plant died. Story 4. Internet scams. Tons of idiots out there. It crosses all genders, ages, races, and education level. But man, if people aren't freaking dumb as a box of rocks. Way too many people on the internet even come to r/scams asking about scams they either fell for or are about to. It's sad, really. I can't imagine how one could ever send a stranger money sight unseen. I don't even part with money to people I know. Can't imagine giving even a penny to strangers. I work with older adults, and they are prime targets for scammers. I had a lady tell me she got a phone call from a man who said he was from the internet. He wanted to fix her computer for X reason. She didn't believe him and hung up. So far, so good. The jerk actually called back, and because he called back, she thought it was true. Gave him her email password, etc., and ultimately lost her computer. Scams against older adults are more sad and desperate. Last year, my grandpa got a call from Microsoft telling him that his computer had a virus, which he told me about it afterwards. He said, "I knew it was a scam because I don't have Microsoft. I have Windows." Story 5. Stupid is probably going a bit far, but there are plenty of products that were massively unpopular because they worked too well and people just didn't get them. The best example I can think of is Febreze, which was designed as a scent eradicator and was, by its very nature, completely odorless. The only problem is that people get used to their own personal brand of stank, so they couldn't tell the difference between their own smelly butt home before and after it was sprayed. They had to put a scent into the product that was designed to get rid of scents just so people would appreciate it actually had been used, after which it started selling like crazy. Like how people thought vacuum cleaners weren't working because they were too quiet. So sound engineers had to make vacuums louder on vacuums and cars and potato chips. As someone sensitive to sounds, I hate this so much. Story 6. Signs at the supermarket telling people not to wash their hands in the fish tanks or the tanks of any other sea creatures. This should be an unspoken rule, but because it was unspoken, some stupid butt dill pickle dough decided to wash their hands in the dang tanks. Edit, I should not have said any other sea creatures. Obviously, certain tanks will have the tops off, but for eels, lobster, and other select animals, the tops are on. How the heck did they wash their hands in the tanks? I've never been in a position to touch the water as far as I know. It's a supermarket where they have the tops off the tanks, I guess. Stupid people get stupid ideas. Story 7. Walk-in income tax preparation businesses, like H&R Block, etc. Complicated tax situations need an accountant or CPA, but the majority of taxes prepared while you wait are extremely simple and can be prepared by anyone capable of reading and using a calculator. And in other countries, the government just does the taxes for you. There's no reason we can't do that in the US, other than H&R Block and TurboTax lobbying against it. If you don't file your taxes on time, the IRS will do it for you, and then screw it up 6 ways from Sunday. I've been fighting them for the past year because, no, I don't owe additional taxes. They owe me. Story 8. That warning at the end of every pharma ad. Don't take Repressitol if you are allergic to Repressitol, or any of its ingredients. What are the ingredients? 2% Precitolium, HCI, 98% fillers. In case this was meant to be a jab at the companies, fillers are actually super important. Depending on the medication, for example a topical cream, they can assist in absorption or alleviation of certain side effects, increase shelf life, or otherwise help out. The main use is to prevent easily overdosing though, specifically in oral medication. Because, I don't know about you, but I can't measure out exactly 0.5 milliliters of Precitolium at home. Story 9. Warning stickers. Arguably, some might be beneficial. However, a lot of them are added on because someone did something stupid, or in fear of doing something stupid, a sticker got slapped on. I go to several anime and video game conventions, and I sometimes see very specific rules that make me laugh because I know there was some incident and they made a rule about it. Stuff like, no wearing roller skates while you're also wearing a leash. Costumes may not be on fire. Do not release birds inside the building. Do not try to build a trampoline. Time to expand the list. Story 10. Warnings on microwaves and ovens that the food might be hot afterwards. That is pretty much the purpose of those, to heat the food. To be fair, might be hot is a pretty good way of describing the food that comes out of my poopy butt microwave. It might be hot, it might be frozen, it might have melted through the plate. Buckle up, kiddos, we're going on a culinary adventure. The microwave at my work actually does both. Part of the food is burned and part cold. Story 11. The commercials where they do some stuff that's nearly impossible for an actual human to do. But they still have to say, do not try this at home, because some crackhead-looking butt is definitely going to try. I always wonder about car commercials, where they depict someone driving normally on a normal road. Professional driver on a closed course, do not attempt. Yeah, those ones always get me because they were pointless. Story 12. Warnings that you shouldn't try stupid TV antics at home. Professional driver on closed course proceeds to show a CGI effects fest of a car jumping across rooftops. Or worse, someone checking traffic, pulling out of their driveway, coming to a complete stop at a stop sign, using a turn signal, then turning and merging with traffic. Warning, professional driver on closed course, do not attempt. Story 13. Those tags on hair dryers that state not to use them in the shower. To save time in my morning routine, I poop in bed, wipe in the shower, and brush my teeth while cooking breakfast. I love how you have no time for pooping on the toilet, but still cook your breakfast. Also sounds like you took the amazing Mr. Bean morning routine sketch to the maximum. Story 14. Recently started a job that has a massive walk-in freezer. Part of the induction was explaining that you shouldn't lick the frozen metal rollers that the stock was placed on. My reply, we can lick the regular ones though, right? Totally wrong crowd. Wow, sounds like a fun place to work. Plot twist, he works in a morgue. Story 15. So, in France, soy milks and any other milks in that kind are now labeled vegetal beverages because it was too confusing. Guess people thought you have to milk soybeans like a cow? I'm gonna also put that there's a vegetable chicken, which is basically chicken raised with vegetables, I think. And no one raised an eyebrow on that one. Shrug. Story 16. The little sticker on the front of vending machines that say not to shake them, as if it falls, it will crush you and can cause serious bodily harm up to and including unaliveness. More people have their lives ended this way than by sharks. Well, sure, nobody swims up to a shark and starts shaking it until it falls on them. Story 17. Multi-level marketing schemes. If you have to pay a company for the privilege to work for them, I have news for you. You have to invest to be an entrepreneur. How else can I get a Lambo like my manager? Selling these knives. Hashtag self-made. Hashtag entrepreneur. Hashtag self-boss. How are you your own boss if you have a manager? Story 18. Diseases that have long been eradicated that are coming back because of the idiots who don't vaccinate their kids. Anti-vaxxers have gone quiet in regards to the measles epidemic in Samoa. Hard to be smug when burying your own child. Story 19. Bouncers at bars and clubs. Can attest. Minimally paid drunk toddler attendants. Not necessarily minimally. The best money I made in my early 20s was from bouncing. It was kind of obscene how much someone would pay to cut a line or act rich in front of a date just to get into a bar or club. Story 20. On every wrapper, there are instructions that you should put it into trash. I once ate a Twix with the wrapper on it, and I've never seen the wrapper come out. When I was a baby, my head was really big, and scientists did experiments on me. Story 21. $60 AirPod straps. I initially read Tide Pod straps and had a serious WTF moment. I envisioned a strap you'd attach to a Tide Pod that you could pull in case someone ingested a pod, yanking it out like you're trying to start a lawnmower. Story 22. Stickers on wood chippers telling people not to stick their limbs inside. But what else would I do with all these tree limbs? Tree limbs? You're supposed to have 4 limbs. You stuck the other one in the wood chipper, didn't you? Story 23. Algorithms that fill your news feed with inflammatory clickbait. How else am I supposed to learn about the Maryland man who got tens of thousands of dollars from the government? Or the new law that has drivers in my area furious? Story 24. There's a nice little sign above the shredder where I work warning people that documents put through this device will not be recoverable. Just turn it over and put it through the other side. Searches shredder for undo button. Story 25. Penis enlargement scams. For only 3 payments of $19.99, I can guarantee your penis will be bigger than mine. If we pay you enough money, you will chop your penis off. Story 26. Bags of nuts with a written warning explaining that the product may contain nuts, or egg cartons with contains eggs on them. Yes, this floor here is made out of floor. Story 27. A steam iron with "do not use while wearing clothes" on the box. I follow that rule. It's quite a surprise for people who walk in on me in the laundry room. Story 28. Measles. Measles is such a funny sounding name. How serious could it possibly be? Same with mumps, chickenpox, and bubonic plague. Story 29. Don't take drug name if you're allergic to drug name. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.